Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles, and on this episode, we're talking about AJ Lee. Now, unless you've been living under a rock for the last few days, you will have obviously seen that AJ's husband, CM Punk, has returned to the WWE. With that, I did see some discourse on Twitter/X, whatever the heck you want to call it, of people asking, what about AJ? Is AJ going to return? Now again, like I said, it's obvious the two are connected together. They're married. So it would make sense if she was interested in a returning wrestling that she would return to the company her husband worked. With that being said, we're going to talk about that just a bit here, and reasons why I think it's more possible. So first off, we are going to cover the CM Punk return. So it was a shock, but there were some things that were out there, little hints and references on the show. Nakamura doing the go to sleep, certain CM Punk phrases being said by different wrestlers. Now, if you're to believe what has been said, this was a contract that didn't come into effect till the day of Survivor Series. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think it may have been finalized the day of Survivor Series, but I think there was already contingency plans in place. I think that some of the MacGuffins were MacGuffins. They were breadcrumbs leading you to this. Ever since he was fired from AEW, it was rumored he would show up in WWE, and the most likely place would be Survivor Series. Now, one of the things that made me think that there was at least a somewhat plan in that, other than the references, is, I would say, not even a half hour, probably even shorter than that, after Survivor Series went off the air, they were already selling CM Punk shirts on the WWE shop. Now again, like I said, there could have been a somewhat plan saying, hey, if this guy comes back, let's have some shirts mocked up for him. It may not have been finalized, but what that tells me is there was at least something there. And I know it's derivative of his old WWE shirt, they could have just used that. But even getting a mock-up out that quickly is pretty impressive. And I know WWE is a massive machine. They could possibly do that. Where that ties in for me is the same show, Survivor Series. Now, much like there were subtle hints of CM Punk, I think we got a subtle hint for AJ Lee there, and that was Kairi Sane skipping to the ring during their War Games match. Now, if you remember, and I posted the GIF up right here, that was very similar to the way that AJ Lee would skip to the ring for her entrance. Now, could this be separate? Yeah, definitely. Could it be Kairi Sane just wanted to do something different? Of course. But I kind of think where there's smoke, there's fire. We also have the promo that CM Punk said on Monday Night Raw, where he mentioned her and brought up AJ, that everybody's asking about her. So again, usually WWE does not mention people that they don't plan on using at some point or another. So there is that. Now, I do know also in the same show, just to be fair, Chris Jericho was mentioned on commentary as The Miz potentially tying his number of reigns with the Intercontinental Championship. I don't think Chris Jericho is coming in anytime soon, but I do think with CM Punk referencing AJ with the skipping, I think there's a little bit there. There's a couple things with that I think make this possible. First off, her involvement in the show Heels. Now, Heels has been canceled at this point. There's rumors that they're looking for a streaming service for it. Fantastic idea that I would think would be a no-brainer would be partnering with the WWE for promotion and having it on Peacock if they're going to get a network. Now, with that, as we've seen in the first two seasons of Heels, CM Punk played a character. In the second season, AJ Lee played a character. Now, that may not be a whole lot. It may have piqued back her interest in pro wrestling. She had been working with Women of Wrestling in a behind-the-scenes type role. She stepped down from that position recently, which again, to me, I think would be basically another thing saying, hey, I had fun with this, maybe I'll give this wrestling thing a go. And the last thing that I think is a good reason, much like CM Punk has said, where he's mentioned he'd like to mentor the younger talent and work with the younger talent, I really feel that AJ Lee is the same way. That was her mission statement when she began working with Women of Wrestling. And what better way to do it than maybe have a part-time schedule in WWE, also work a bit with NXT. So I think there's a potential for her to come back. Where I think it would make the most sense, even if it's just a one-off, is the Royal Rumble. If AJ Lee is a surprise in the Royal Rumble, the fans are going to go nuts for it. They're absolutely going to love it. She's probably one of the most exciting women that can return in that match that hasn't made 5 or 6 other returns that the crowd is going to go crazy for. They're going to explode, much like they did for CM Punk. Maybe not on the same level, but a similar level. Because if you don't remember, AJ Lee was beloved by the WWE fan base. She's part of the reason that women's wrestling is sitting on such a high pedestal as it is today. Women like herself, Paige, Natalya, really laid the groundwork for what would come later with the 4 Horsewomen, the Women's Revolution. They were doing the work to get that to that point. So if she does come back, I think it will be in the Royal Rumble. Now, with that being said, I'm going to list off some people I'd love to see her wrestle with when she does come back. I'd obviously love to see her have some kind of a feud with Damage Control, matches with Bayley, Kairi Sane, Asuka, Io Sky. They would all be fantastic. I think that her being in there with all them women could put on an amazing match. Obviously, the biggest star of the women's division, Rhea Ripley, would make an awesome match with her. Then we have the others where I think, and I don't know AJ Lee personally. This is just going off of things I've seen her say and her talking about wanting to be a mentor. I would love to see her do a short stint in NXT and wrestle women like Gigi Dolan, who I think is amazing, and maybe even wrestling for the championship against another one of my favorite women down in NXT, Lyra Valkyria. I think that Lyra Valkyria is amazing. She's awesome. I recently went to an NXT show here that happened locally, and I was very happy because I got to see Lyra wrestle. I got to see Gigi Dolan wrestle, and they're 2 of my favorite women on that roster right now. I'd love to see an AJ Lee Lyra Valkyria match. I think it would be amazing. But that's all fantasy booking. That's just my ideas of things I'd love to see, and hopefully you guys feel the same way too. I'd really love to see AJ Lee come back. She is on the short list of my favorite women's wrestlers of all time. She's right up there with Awesome Kong, Bayley, who I think is absolutely amazing, Rhea Ripley, who has to be included on that list, Lita, who has to be up on that list. I mean, she's up there with some of my favorites of all time. I would just really like to see it happen, and I think there is a strong possibility it is going to happen. I really hope it does, because I'm going to be one of those people that are screaming as loud as I can if she comes back, whether it be at the Royal Rumble, some other time, whether it be as a wrestler, a manager, a management type role, like a GM type role. I'd love her to be in the company in any form. With all that being said, let me know your opinion. Would you like to see AJ Lee come back? Let me know down in the comments, yes or no. Do you think it's a possibility she might come back? Let me know your opinion down here. While you're there, smash the like button, subscribe, share the video, all the things the other YouTubers ask you to do. And with all that being said, my name is George Coles, and this has been another Heel Heat video.